In this video on podcasting, we're going to look at using GarageBand to podcast. The current version that I have is GarageBand 3, however this is not the most up-to-date version. The newer versions all work in the exact same manner. The difference would be that the newer versions might have some extra audio files or newer samples and things like that. But the basic premise of how it functions and how you create a podcast works the same. I'm going to open up and click on our button here that says New Podcast Episode. It's going to ask me where to save it. In this case, I'm going to create a Podcast 2 in Podcast 2 folder. And I do want to replace that one. And here it is. Now, when it opens up, it automatically gives you a podcast track up the top here, voice tracks, jingles, and radio sounds track. Just because they're all there doesn't mean that you're going to use all of those in any one of your podcasts. Also, the way that the iLife series works, everything is connected. So everything that you do in iTunes or in iMovie or in iPhoto can also be brought into GarageBand. In this case, you'll notice that the photos come open, and this is a couple photos I have from a Christmas concert from a couple years ago in my iPhoto library. I'm going to click on Audio, and you'll see a couple various demo songs that GarageBand has in there already. We're going to leave that like that for a moment, because what I want to do is I'm going to open up the file I used for my podcast 1, which was about Audacity, and we can drag that in. You'll notice it changes. It should change. Oh, what happened there? Let's try that again. I'm going to grab it. There we go. It changes to a green plus sign there. We're going to, there it goes. Drop it in the podcast track, and you have a dialog box that comes up saying it can either contain a podcast track or a video track. Which do you want? So I'm going to replace this with a video track. I'm going to close some windows here. There it goes. Okay. Now the difference being, if I have a video track, obviously that's showing a video. A podcast track you would use if you had pictures or text of some sort that you wanted displayed, but you were not using an actual video file. Okay, again, you could bring in pictures from iPhoto or anywhere really, but iPhoto would link them up automatically and drop them into your podcast track. Now from here, this video, you'll notice the video preview over here. As we go along, we can see the video preview changes a little bit. Okay, so we'll be able to preview. So this cross-platform. Let me turn the audio off from the video sound there. And as it plays through, with it being free, it does not offer all the bells and whistles. Oh, let me mute that too. There we go. That's muted. Okay, and there is our video track in there. We don't have, I just turned the audio off. You may or may not want the audio. If you do not want the audio in the first place, what you could do is simply delete it. If we click on the video soundtrack and hit the delete button, it goes away. Now I'm going to Apple Z to undo that command so I can bring it back. For no other purpose other than right now just to have it there. We have something that happens automatically called ducking. If you'll notice here, the voices have an up arrow and jingles has a down arrow. What that does is if I'm playing music, for example, I have a jingle going and I want to talk over it, when I start to talk, this audio will come out louder than the jingle. The jingle will automatically be made softer to accommodate for the voice. That's called ducking. And GarageBand does that automatically. You do not have to go back in after your recording session and adjust the volume on anything else. In terms of getting the volume of the music, the background music, softer than the volume of the people who are speaking. Okay, that's already taken care of automatically for you. Now, if you'd like to add a jingle, come down here to the I, not the letter I, but it looks like an I, and you'll see it says View Hide the Loop Browser. That's what we're going to open up, and here are various loops that we have. Let's click on Jingles, And maybe we'll go electronic. Now, if you notice, these are all blue over here. Blue is audio files. There's two different types of files we have with GarageBand. Either they're blue, which is audio, or they're green, which means it's MIDI. The blue audio files you do not have as much control over in terms of editing as you do with the MIDI files. So let's click on this and we can hear what it sounds like. Okay, I'll click it again and it'll stop. And how about this one? Okay, it gives you the length of each sound file right here. So you don't have to listen to the whole thing. You can just get a sample of it. You'll have an idea of how long it goes. Okay. Now, if you want to add one of these sounds to your file, I'm going to click on it and drag it up to where it belongs. Notice the green plus bar there, and drop it in place. I'm going to slide it over as far as I can, and there's my audio file. Now, you'll notice that as I'm talking, our green levels are going up over here. That's because this became a live track. So I'm going to disable recording because I don't want it to record my voice at this point. Now, maybe, since this track is only about 9 seconds long, as it tells us right here, maybe we need much more than that. If you notice, when I put my arrow on the end, it turns into a little curly cue. Now I can click and drag it out, and this will recreate loops for me. If you notice, there's a little divot there, that shows you where the end of the loop is and where the next one begins. Okay, so we can stop that one right there, say. Okay. Now we got a jingle. Now maybe you want to have some instruments in there as well. If you click down here, and you'll notice that this is the podcast, this is for music. So we're going to click on music, and it comes up with a whole bunch of different loops based on instruments. Maybe we want a nice little piano riff in there. So I click on piano. Here's where you'll notice we have green files and we have blue files. Green, again, is MIDI. Let's click on one of these to hear it. Okay, if a file is MIDI, that means that that sound is being created by the computer. It's not an audio file that's saved on the computer. Okay, so if we were to play a MIDI file on different computers, each one would essentially sound different. Now, not so much on the Mac because they all have the same sound sets, but if you were to take it from one PC to another PC to an HP to a gateway, each PC would have a different set of sounds in it, and the piano 1 on one PC would not necessarily be the same piano sound on another PC. In this case, we don't have to worry about that because eventually even the MIDI will be changed into audio for our file anyway. So maybe we like this, our 70s ballad piano 1. Okay, so I'm going to drag it up here and let it go, and it's going to automatically create my piano track. Now, the difference, for example, if I double-click audio, here's my audio sound wave. If I double-click the green, here's my MIDI notation. You'll notice your keypad over here, letting you know what notes they are. Okay, now, let's, because I know this is not going to sound very good together, I'm going to mute the jingle that we have there, too, for right now. Okay, there's our piano. Same thing if we want to make it longer, we can simply grab our loop and loop it out. And there's another set of loops right there. Okay, now, editing is a whole lot easier with MIDI as well. Maybe I don't like this note. Maybe I want to make it that note. Okay, so I can move any of these notes around, make their duration longer. If you notice, here's my loop. I can't edit what's in the loop because as I edit in my first one, what's in the loop automatically changes. Now, that's different if I were to, instead of looping it, just extend it. Notice, instead of the curly cue, I have this little arrow that extends my music. I can extend it as long as I want. The problem in this case is that it's MIDI. So there's nothing else really to extend. Nothing else is going to pull through there, like it would, for example, if it was an audio file. If I click on my audio, and that's not going to loop right now anyway. All I have is my loops for my audio. Okay, so let me go back down here to my MIDI. I'm going to delete this and add it again. So this way I have a brand new, unaltered track. Let's see here. And then it stops. Okay, so if you want it to continue looping, you need to make sure you have the curly cue. That'll keep dragging the loop out for you. And then the song will continue. Okay, now, so we have our video, or if you had your podcast track, you would have just had your little splash screens up here. You'd have your individual graphic files. You have your audio file. You have your vocal tracks, which you can use with ducking. We just added another instrument. Now, maybe you don't like any of these sounds, or you can't find a sound that is suiting to your purpose, and you want to record your own sound. You could do it using an audio file, or you could do it through MIDI. For example, we have our piano here. Maybe I want to make my piano sound like a horn. Okay, yes, I do. Yes, we're going to discard. Okay. So there we go. So now we're going to have a horn file here. Now, if you could either plug a keyboard into it and actually play along as the GarageBand is recording, or you could go up to Window and pull down Musical Typing, and it gives you a keyboard on your screen. So as I press a note, it's not exactly the easiest way of inputting notes, but if you had to do something in a hurry or you're on the road and you just have to get a lick down, it does work out. So let me, I just blocked my record button here. I'm going to click record, and I'm going to keep going now. And I'm going to stop that. Okay, and that's what I just recorded. And there you go. Now, again, being a simple MIDI file, I can drag this anywhere I want, just like I can with my audio files. Maybe I didn't want it to start exactly there. I just recorded it there, but maybe I want to use it somewhere else. Just move it down and everything will be fine. If you made a mistake, double-click on it. I can see what my notes are, and I can change any one that I want. Okay, then when I go back and play, that's been changed. Don't forget as well, make sure you save after every couple things that you do, so that you don't crash or lose the program or lose your work that you did if something should happen to the program. And that's basically how you podcast in GarageBand. Now, you have to get this file put together and packaged. So if we go up to Share, and where you can send your podcast to iWeb if you use iWeb to create your web pages, or you could simply export the movie to disk. And when you export your movie to disk, it'll save all these tracks together for you into a movie track that you could save in your podcast. I will tell you that it will take some time, depending on how long it is, to actually render the video and put everything together. Once the video is done, all you have to do is create your XML file, as I explained in the previous podcast lesson, using any one of the paid, commercial, or free software packages, and then upload it to your server. Link it to an aggregator somewhere, either through the iTunes Store or through Podcast Alley or any one of the other podcast aggregator sites, and then people can find your podcast and listen to what you have to say. So there you go. I hope you found this interesting, and I hope that you've learned from this. Thank you.